All right, get your Mod Podge and canned pears ready. We're going to do some scrapbooking and nature journaling experiments today, talking about a variety of things you'd be surprised would work for material for scrapbooking. But for example, look at these this unsweetened applesauce that someone gave me when I was camping in the desert. Could just easily peel this off. Maybe that word unsweetened would look cool somewhere glued into my nature journal. Equally good potential. There's stuff that I got at the San Diego Zoo recently. Here's some Kipper snacks, your box of sardines or cereal. Any of those things could be material for adding to your nature journal as sort of art journaling, scrapbooking, junk journaling. I'm going to just show a couple quick things in this one. I know a lot of you have seen this one already, but just to go through before we start diving into some new stuff and a couple new ideas that I've never mentioned before on any shows that you can use for adding a little bit of creative inspiration, a little bit of memorabilia, a little bit of flair to your nature journal, art journal, junk journal, from pressed flowers to things you find at the library, to lots of wrappers from chocolate bars, all those things and more. But let's look at a couple things that I've done before that some of you might know about. Look at this envelope in the back. This is such a great solution, and you could fold your own if you're crafty like that. I tried to make one in a recent episode you might have seen, and I can have pressed flowers in here. I can save receipts in here, anything like that. You don't necessarily have to pay extra money for a sketchbook or a journal that comes with a pocket, such as this one, because it's so easy to make your own pocket. Here you can see pressed flowers. A lot of this was done with Mod Podge, and some of the techniques in here I've since learned better, but thanks to all of you. And you can tell that you've been scrapbooking or art journaling or whatever by how fat. Someone pointed this out last time, and it was really funny. And they pointed out how it's really fun when the journal or sketchbook starts to get fat. This one got fat because I did a lot of weird things in it, such as this semi-disaster with gluing different pieces of paper, and even just this piece of construction paper can be really fun. Some pressed leaves there, and some other examples that are really easy are, look at this. This is a good trick. A little window. You could actually cut a window out of one page of your nature journal and create a whole new sort of interactive aspect. These are the kinds of things that you can do in a book with pages that you cannot do in a painting or something that hangs up on the wall. So take advantage of these. If you work in sketchbooks, in nature journals, in scrapbooks or art journals, take advantage of those aspects that make our art form unique and different from things that hang on the wall. You can't post this on Instagram, obviously, unless it's a video, but there are things you can do here that are not possible. It's more interactive than anything that you can hang on a wall. Here's a little bit of a map. I tried burning it and I burnt too far, but we might experiment with some burning today. Gluing in different types of paper or the same type of paper gives us options. You can create doors, tape, just plain old packing tape on top of plants can work as well. Cutting stuff out from magazines. This was some of my first experience I got. You can tell I got crazy because I started to flick the remains of my cup of tea onto the page to see if that got an effect. And here you can see a page that's sticking together. I don't know if it's the dingleberries, mistletoe, or if it's the Mod Podge that's making the page stick, but you can see how easy it is to incorporate some of these multimedia techniques, scrapbooking techniques, and all of that into your nature journal. And we're going to do some right now. So just want to show you a couple examples there. Checking out the chat here. Hi to my mom. Roberta's here. Evea. Oh, Mindy's here. Eli's here. Yay. Cindy's here. New Hampshire Cindy. Ellen is here from Seattle. Welcome to the show, Ellen. Don't remember seeing you here before. Oh, and Candy Parsons. Welcome to the show as well. You seem new. And James is here as well. James is working on some map stuff, and we're going to do some map stuff right now. It sounds like James's map class might be a little bit more technical, but let's get some of this other stuff out of the way. And the first thing we're going to do is, we'll also talk a little bit about quotes. So how do I make Cindy's go away? I mean, Candy. So we're going to talk about using quotes. And this is, I'm going to partially steal this from Heather Krellin, who's a San Diego nature journaler and artist that I recently interviewed. And she's also a volunteer at the San Diego Zoo, where I just was nature journaling the other day. And she has a really cool technique with quotes that she uses in her nature journal that I'm going to talk about in a second. So let me get some of this other stuff out of the way. Hopefully I don't lose anything on the ground here. And what you'll see is I have a map from the San Diego Zoo. The easiest way to get a map into your nature journal is to just pick one up that's already printed. They come in a lot of places, not just at zoos, but many other places as well. It's easy to get a paper map, which you can then rip. You can mark this up. You can actually get multiple maps from them, and then you can glue those into your nature journal. You can see I did that recently in Dance of Borrego. Here I glued in a little bit of a map. And we're going to do something similar right now. And I already did some, so what we're doing now is basically homework or studio work, but it is possible to do some scrapbooking stuff in the fields, and I'm going to try to talk about that more in another video. But I've been experimenting with really easy to carry types of adhesive. So this obviously is probably not something you want to mess with in the field or while you're walking around the San Diego Zoo, but this has the potential to be that. I have some real strong opinions about this fancy Tombow glue, but it seems like the kind of thing that should be convenient until the lid gets completely stuck on here and the applicator tip that looks so fancy and well designed doesn't actually work and gets completely clogged up. But nevertheless, I was capable of using this glue to stick my ticket onto the page, and this was stuck onto the page while I was walking at the zoo. So it can be done. You know, if this is in your kit, you can hold your sketchbook out open. You can start using scrapbooking type techniques. Another approach would be, and another thing that might be overpriced, are these weird Hobonichi Techo double stick tape that I got from Jet Pins when I was ordering other stuff, because I think I just needed to get my order a little bit more expensive. Basically, it's fancy double-sided tape, and this is the kind of thing, some of these double-sided tapes or little glue dots can be really convenient. They are wasteful in terms of packaging, but if you just need something to carry with you inside of your nature journal, it could even be, you know, in an envelope back here. It's flat. That's a real benefit. You could pull that out at any time and glue something like a ticket stub easily into your nature journal. So I did my nature journaling there and sketched these birds. It was really fun. But now I want to add a map and sort of show where we went on that trip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the San Diego Zoo map, which is really big, and now I'm going to try to figure out what parts of this are relevant to my trip. But first, I'm going to eat a little bit of chocolate and check on the live chat. If you didn't know, there's a live chat. It should be on this side of your screen. If you go over there, you might need to put the screen, you might need to watch in a different mode. Like if you're full screen, you probably can't see the live chat. If you make it smaller, you can check out the live chat. It's usually very lively. Oh, wow, Nature Sketches is here too. Karen's here. Karen was on this trip as well. Oh, and Tiffany is here. Yay. Wow, this is a good crowd this evening. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, I'm going to have to try that. That sounds very high tech. Tombow dot tape runner. Or maybe like some type of parasite. Thanks for that tip, Mindy. I will definitely have to check that out. Even though I think I'm going to be waiting a little bit on buying a bunch of, I'm not going to go on any art supply shopping sprees right now. Oh, I should also mention that someone very kindly gifted me the pass to go to the San Diego Zoo. Oh, one other thing. There's going to be a couple things popping up every once in a while that I haven't talked about too much before, but one of them is going to be this photographic paper. This is the kind of thing, it is photosensitive, so if you're going to keep it in your nature journal to have it on the ready, you might want to keep it back here in like an envelope that you can create in the back of your journal. Otherwise, I am going to experiment with gluing it onto the page in advance so that I have this and it reminds me to sort of break outside of my comfort zone and try doing something a little bit different while I'm out nature journaling. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Sharpie. This is your opportunity to use a Sharpie marker, which is frowned upon by sophisticated artists everywhere, and greatly enjoyed by everybody else in the world. So here's the entrance. I'm just going to draw a big arrow coming in and a smiley face for me. And then I'm going to try to see if I can cut off everything that I don't need. So we definitely came over here to check out these reptiles. I didn't go to the Komodo dragon, but I do need to go there and nature journal. Last Komodo dragon I nature journaled was in the San Francisco Zoo. I think Ivea was there with me, and that was a peak nature journaling moment. I think that was one of the first in-person ones I had done since lockdown. Okay, so I know we walked along here. The flamingos aren't there. One really interesting thing at the zoo is the San Diego Zoo, at least, is there's some major changes with some of the bird stuff, because they've closed down some of the bird enclosures out of concern for the what is it, avian flu that is going around. Ooh, they used to have a batalur, which is a type of eagle that I've seen in Nature Journal in Tanzania. They used to have one of those, but now they actually have these ground hornbills, which I would rather nature journal those than a batalur any day of the week. I have nature journaled both, though, in the wild and in captivity. Okay, so now that I know for sure what I actually need, I'm just gonna cut along that. You could rip along that. There's some rule, like I can't remember. I think it's with junk journaling. If you're junk journaling, all of your edges should be ripped, I think. I might be botching all of this stuff. Oh, I just started cutting my journal as well. When you're cutting with scissors, it's really important to know what's underneath your paper, like your fingers, your children's fingers, or important bills, or irreplaceable family photographs could just be somehow hiding under there, and you end up cutting them as well. Money, $100 bills, whatever you have lying around on your scrapbooking art table, you got to make sure that you don't actually cut those as well. That's one of the dangers of using scissors and why you need to be an adult before you can use them. Notice that I've got the safety ones so that I can still run with them. I got these in Ecuador while I was traveling, and they were probably like 5 cents. They work quite well. I've actually used these for trimming my facial hair as well. Okay, so I tried to keep a real minimal kit while I was traveling in Ecuador, and decided that tools that are just for shaving my facial hair and grooming my facial hair didn't really meet my criteria for multi-purpose tools that are taking up space in my gear. If you're in San Diego, say something in the comments and you can come nature journaling, sketching. There's a lot of sketching groups in San Diego, and it would be really good to get there's a couple sort of ongoing meetings starting to happen, so I've been wishing for it and trying to catalyze it a little bit over the last almost 10 years, and finally it seems like it's happening. The critical mass is here. Okay, now I've got this really weird annoying shape. Do I want to cut anything out from here Maybe I do. I'm not a huge fan of their new logo, but I can tell they put a lot of thought and money into it. And so I could potentially use that logo somewhere. Terry Newman is here. Runs with scissors. Yes, exactly. What are the circumstances? Use your imagination. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Yes, tablecloths. Classic Classic. That's probably the biggest one. That's probably one of the main ones to watch out for, actually. Okay, here's a good example of why not to use Sharpie, besides just being a way to be a snobby artist, is it does go through a lot of things. So this map isn't super light paper and it has a little bit of glossiness to it, but look at how the I know that this camera doesn't pick up the light so well. The Sharpie went right through that. That is definitely a major downside of Sharpie, is it goes through paper. It would be on your tablecloth too, so that would be a great way, recovering soul, to double the damage on your tablecloth. Okay, so one thing I could potentially do that would be very creative would be, and I haven't tried this before, but okay, so this is one, just to go on a tangent here. This is an example where a spiral bound sketchbook is not great. So a lot of the people that I nature journaled with at the zoo on this recent trip were mentioning just the feeling of this being in the way when you're moving your hand and working on this page, and also just that bump that you have to deal with. Another one is if you have a sewn binding like this, you could potentially take a map like this and just glue it seamlessly into the gutter right there, and that would be very, very cool. There are large sketchbooks that are bound that way, and that would look really cool. Unfortunately, I cannot do that. Remember, limitations and challenges can actually be advantageous for creativity, so you can always remind yourself of that. And I'm going to cut it like, why don't I just cut it there? Is that too boring? Right through the Warner Administration Center. Just in case that was an important part of the map. Okay, now I've got these two that I'll be able to glue on. One thing you can do, and I've had mixed results with this, is you can plan everything out for like collage in advance. If you like to plan things in advance, or if you like to wing it and just make things up or improvise, let me know in the live chat whether you're on the just make things up and improvise end of the artistic spectrum, or on the plan everything perfectly in advance. I've seen there's this one watercolor and urban sketcher lady who I think her Instagram is called like I paint like an engineer or something like that. So which side of that spectrum are you on? So I think I'm going to use this unsweetened. The light is still this. Sorry, this camera is not great at adjusting to the light. So this is sort of what I'm thinking of for layout here. Maybe I could just bring the camera closer. That might help. Okay. So I'm going to glue that, and I'm going to experiment with the Tombow one. I'm not going to use the Mod Podge, even though in some ways it would be easier. So when I first saw this product, I thought I'm a stickler, or what's the word? When it comes to design, I have strong opinions. And when I saw this, I thought, hey, this applicator, I had never seen anything like this, and this applicator tip looked like something that could work very well, or had a lot of thought put into it. And maybe trial and error. What I found is that unless it stays clean, it doesn't really work for sort of, if you notice, it has this very like carefully crafted wedge shape to it. And I thought that that would facilitate spreading evenly of the glue. Spreading glue evenly helps it not come out with this weird pattern where you can see where the glue was applied. And it helps the page and the paper not buckle. And it helps a bunch of things. Having control over how the glue gets spread is really important. I thought this tip would be, you know, on some another level. It looks like it's a fancy material as well. It's like a flexible material. This might be part of the reason why the whole thing is expensive. However, it doesn't actually work that well, and I often end up needing to spread it with another tool anyway. So if you're like me, you've definitely like cut up other pieces of paper and use those as sort of a squeegee to spread glue, such as a Mod Podge, or you've used a brush. If you have to use something like that, and then this applicator tip suddenly becomes pointless, and you might as well get something that's super cheap and is in a huge container. But we're going to try it for right now. So as you can see, it just came out in a big glob. I'm trying to use this applicator tip to get an even spread, but no matter how I finesse it, it just still ends up being like almost as if I were just pouring lines of glue out of an Elmer's glue thing. So if it's not actually creating a better spread than Elmer's glue, then I probably shouldn't be paying. I don't know if it's 10 times more expensive than Elmer's glue, but it probably is. At least it's probably around there. So as you can see, I don't have a great even spread, and if I want to be really even, I'm going to have to use a completely different tool, because no matter how I try, this chiseled, like carefully designed, carefully looking sort of tip doesn't actually seem to, and look at how the glue all accumulates on the edge there. So not super impressed by that. You know, it looks like it should be good. It has two sides. Oh, you have two different things. It catches the attention. Not super impressed with the functionality. And I'm actually, if I actually want a good spread, I'm going to have to come back with my paint palette and do that. So then what is the point of that fancy tool? Also, this would mean I have to carry two things. So if I'm in the field or if I'm traveling, this already adds to, you know, just the amount of baggage, and doesn't end up with a superior tool. You know, a glue stick actually would be superior in terms of convenience, space, and application. The only thing I don't know about is a lot of glue sticks aren't archival, and they maybe they don't last forever. Like they can go bad and dry up, and there are other downsides to glue sticks. But in a lot of ways, a glue stick, you know, I got one in Ecuador and did a ton of scrapbooking in my nature journal during that trip, and it was super cheap compared to this, and the application process was much better. Oh, okay, so I still have one more piece of this map to glue, and before I do that, I'm going to take a little drink of my adult beverage here, because this glue is just really stressful. Okay, so here we go again with the Tombow. It's called the Mono Liquid Glue. So getting a little bit, it's like, it's probably possible with like maybe someone who has hand-eye coordination better than I could make this actually spread in a way that wouldn't require any other tool and actually get like a good spread of glue. There's probably someone out there who's done it after training with Shaolin monks in the remote mountains of China for 8 years. You could probably do a better job. And here goes this weird shape of map. And then I'm just going to, for silly reasons, put in this thing that says unsweetened. And I have extra glue all around the rim because this is such a messy, even though it looks fancy, tip. Oh, and there's all this dry glue. Oh, now I have glue on my fingers too. That's always a good sign. Unsweetened. It's upside down. I'll put it upside down. That's artsy. Look at that. Okay. And then where's the San Diego Zoo logo that I was talking trash about? Here it is. Oh, here, the Coca-Cola company is on the other side. Maybe I should just put that one on. Oh, it looks like there's so much conversation going on, but oh my gosh, there's amazing conversation going on in the live chat. If you're not checking it out, check it out. I'm all busy getting glue on my fingers and talking trash about the San Diego Zoo logo, and I'm not able to keep up with the amazing, witty, narrative, stormy, pickaxe conversation going on in the live chat. If you've never participated in the live chat, go check it out. Say hi. Let us know where you're at, whether you're using pickaxes or not. Over in the live chat, that's what they're talking about. You might have to shrink the size that you're set up for watching video on YouTube, so you have room to see the chat. It can be really fun, especially during the live shows to get over there, ask questions, say hi, vent about your family and friends and coworkers. Okay. Oh, my hands are nice and sticky now. I like it. Okay, what's next? So we got the map, and I'm just going to do a couple marks on here, or maybe leave some of that to plan that out later, and then we're going to go on to the next technique. Some of this, and I will talk about this. This is going to be next. Hold on. This is hilarious. I'm going to have to put that up there because that's really funny. In case you didn't realize what you're missing out on in the live chat, that's just a little sample. So one thing you could do, and I did make a whole video about nature journaling at zoos. One thing you could do is you could get this map before you go. If you can get a map before you go, or like at the beginning of a trip, say you're visiting a city, hopefully they still print maps like this in cities. I know some of that stuff's getting less because of digital maps, but you can get a map like this, cut it up however you want, glue it into your nature journal pages, and leave these spaces. Because how cool would it have been if, like, here's the Galapagos tortoises, you know, like if I could, these Galapagos tortoises are right here, you know, if you could have like an arrow going in here, and oh shoot, I'm going to use this Sharpie and it's going to totally come out on the other page. I need to be careful. Okay, time to get rid of the Sharpie. This will probably work just as well. This is the Shinpitsu Pilot dual brush pigment double-sided hard pen. I think I got it right. And then I could put like I could put numbers, you know. But how cool would it be if the whole time, where was the exit? Okay, there's the entrance. Here's the exit. If you have this set up, you could be the whole time on your nature journaling trip, you could be using this map. You can be using this map. Like I could put the time. I think I got there at like we were supposed to meet at 12 originally, but I think I got there closer to like 1:00 p.m. And I'll put like I could put metadata even like on this part of the map. It was partly cloudy and windy. I don't remember the temperature, but it was probably about high 50s. I'll put 58 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's like this could really facilitate for a beginner, for example. I'm going to see if I can change the light here. Hopefully the camera doesn't freak out. So if you're a complete beginner and you're afraid of nature journaling, you could go to a zoo or a museum. You could get a map, or parks offer maps. You could get a map. You could cut this up. You could glue it into your nature journal, and you already have this sort of foundation. It's taken away the blank page. The blank page is no longer scary. I used smiley face and I used some words and numbers and images and arrows, and I'm already breaking in the page. So this is the kind of thing that can really help if you're ever feeling stuck, or if you know someone who's a complete beginner, or they're afraid of drawing, or have a lot of blockage. This is the kind of thing. This is what I like about scrapbooking, art journaling, etc. is you can use it as an unlock when you're having a creative block. Unlock the block. That's probably mixing metaphors. Okay, so if you did this before the trip, then you could have it integrated with all of your sketches on that trip. So that's that technique, and I think I'll leave this space. Maybe I could use this for homework, so I could like look up videos about some of the animals that I have in the different places. I could write some stuff from memory about, you know, what we saw at these different places. Like here was Galapagos tortoises. Galapagos. And I will do that at another time because this requires a little bit more slowness and carefulness and writing. So I'll turn this into a homework project, which you all know if you've been watching for a while how great I am about that. And we're going to start talking more about scrapbooking into your future pages. So ideally you could potentially add the maps. Like I could have probably overlaid it and sort of just squashed some of these drawings and it would have been fine. So you could add stuff in after the trip. Now we're going to talk about adding stuff in before you go somewhere. So one thing you could do is this quote idea, and I'm just going to just blatantly steal this from Heather Krellen because I saw her do it on Monday at the zoo. This isn't actually a great quote, but what I'm going to do is I have a open here on my computer is, let's see, make sure I don't have anything secret that I don't want to give away, secret projects. So I'm going to share my screen and show you this quotes page that has a bunch of okay, that has a bunch of quotes, and we're just going to choose some quotes and write them into the nature journal. So here, let's see, what do we got? What options do we have here? Some of these are really long, so please don't vote for those ones. But I wonder if this, maybe I won't actually make this. Ooh, Percy Shelley? No, that's too romantic. Ooh, I like this Billy Shakespeare one. Let's go with that one. Okay. It's from As You Like It. I like this place and could willingly waste my time in it. I'm actually going to write that on the zoo one. So the way Heather Krellen does it is she apparently goes through her whole nature journal when she first gets it, and she writes a quote on every page. So there's a couple things here that I want to point out. So one thing is, let me see if I can make myself a little bit bigger. There we go. No, you probably can't read the quotes now. Okay, so one thing about this that could be really cool with these quotes is, you get a brand new sketchbook. I'm going to be opening one really soon. Check this out. It's my next sketchbook. I'm really excited about it. When I open this up, it's going to be scary, and all the pages are going to be white. One thing you could do, one of the benefits of this thing that Heather Krellen does is, you just go through every single page. You go to one of these semi-lame quote websites like this, and you just look up nature quotes or motivation quotes or whatever personal healing you want to do or motivation you want to have. It could be snarky quotes, and you just go through and you write one on every page in your journal going all the way to the end. Then what's going to happen is, as you go, just think about that. You're like, okay, I got to go nature journaling because, I said I would meet Ivea, and we're going to the California Academy of Sciences. Maybe you're not super motivated that day. You open up the page and there's this quote there that somehow inspires you. Or maybe you are really motivated already and you open it up to go nature journaling that day. And you see a quote there that somehow makes you try something that you wouldn't try, or think about something that you wouldn't normally think about. So it's creating this, it's creating a potential motivator. It's breaking the fear of the blank page, and it's adding randomness. So that quote could be it is random. The order in which you get them, it might not be specifically related to, who knows, you might be at the zoo, or you might be nature journaling a lemon in your house that day. That quote is going to be a random combination with whatever's happening for you that day. And sometimes that randomness is the seed of great art or new ideas. So you sometimes need a mechanism for introducing randomness. If all you do is go to my classes, and you look at certain books, you look at certain other people, you take John Muir Law's classes, and then you do your own sort of nature journaling style, there might not be enough injections of randomness for new, highly fertile ideas to come out of your work. So randomness and mechanisms for introducing randomness can sometimes be useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the Shakespeare one here, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy Heather and go forward with a few of these. So I'm going to go ahead and use this pen. It's fine. And what does it say? I like this place and could willingly waste my time in it. And I'm going to switch to place and Okay, great. See, this is a really good point, Karen. Thanks for pointing that out. That is very interesting. Okay. What else should I copy from here? I like this Vincent van Gogh. What do people think about this Vincent van Gogh one? And then I have nature and art and poetry. And if that is not enough, what is enough? Pretty good for a crazy guy that cut off most of his own ear. Oh, by the way, there's an amazing biography by I forget the author's names, but there's an amazing newish biography from Vincent van Gogh. So I'm just going to copy Heather and go forward in my pages. But see that quote from Vincent, there's an ellipses at the beginning of it. So who knows what kind of crazy stuff he said right before this one cogent line. But if you want to take a psychological trip with Vincent van Gogh, you should read that or listen to it on audio, that biography. I can't remember what it's called right now, but there's two authors and it's just a groundbreaking biography. And then I have nature. Oh no, I'm running off the page. I lost track of where I was on the page there. That's very amateur. I have nature. Uh-oh. Having instability with my internet for some reason. If that is not enough, what is enough? So this is probably when he had no food, no money, and was ostracized by his family. Yes, this is a good point. They did mention this in the biography, as he's starting to get recognized right near the end. Good point. Okay, so then I'm gonna do this John Muir one. Is kind of cliche, but whoa, that looks like a really good one further down. Okay, so I'm gonna do this John Muir. I almost called him John Muir Laws. Let me do this one in gray. Or no, I'm gonna do this one in silver. I gotta use this silver pen for something. What did he say? The mountains are calling. The mountains are calling and I must go. I think the mountains in California are way too cold for me to go right now. Because I'm kind of not a huge fan of super cold. And that silver does not show up with this camera at all. And I must go. I really want to go to the White Mountains at some point when they're not freezing cold. And Nature Journal, probably the oldest trees, some of the oldest trees on the entire planet. Okay, so that shows you that trick. Now you know how to just take quotes, random quotes, and you could put them throughout your nature journal. You can cut them out too. I recommended recently, going to the book sales at your local library Most of these local libraries will do these book sales, and they'll have these art books, but about different artists. For example, I found this one about Gustav Klimt, and it's really cool to look at. But I've been actually cutting up these paintings and using them for things, scrapbooking techniques. Oops, there's a little bit of nudity in some of his paintings. Hopefully that won't YouTube won't notice that. And so anyways, that's one technique, and it's really fun to cut those out. You've seen some of the ones I've cut out before. Like here's an example. The Impressionists are great because you could cut out something that looks like this, and it's quite abstracted and flat and just about the colors. So this is the kind of thing that you could incorporate in a lot of different ways, even just for borders on a page that then could contain nature journaling of other sort. It actually looks really cool with this. I mean, this by itself would look great, even though it's not mountains necessarily. This combined with the quote would already be like a really interesting page. I might actually leave that there to consider that in the future. So these are the kind of some of these scrapbooking techniques that you can use. Another one that I'm going to show, and maybe I can combine into the front, is this was from a similar to those sliced pears or applesauce. This was, packaging on food. And what I really liked is the adhesive on here was amazing. This was some kimchi, and the adhesive, it's really well printed and designed with this black background. I really like that. And you can cut up these words or create new words, and the adhesive is so good that it stays adhesive even when you pull it off, and you can just save it like stuck to your wall and then use it later. So right here, I'm going to take out the word that says style, and I'll just put it somewhere random. It could be sort of like an Easter egg in my nature journal for anyone, some random person, probably never in the future, or myself in the future, going through here and is like, wow, look at how there's randomly that word style there on that page. So, oh, that is a really good idea. Yes, dictionaries. I am going to, next time I go to, that's the kind of thing you can get for free too, is dictionaries and encyclopedias. So keep your eyes out for that. Keep your eyes out for dictionaries and encyclopedias. Would be a great place to get like definitions of words and then cut those out. Here you can see a place where I glued in some of that photographic paper. The glue reacted with the photographic paper, which is not good. I think I'm just gonna, oh, here we go. This might be, I already have some, yeah, I'll just put it right here. So anyway, and now I'm getting overly overthinking this. I'll just put it, I'm just gonna put it right on the spider's butt. How about that? It's not very hidden, but there you go. Yes, the sillier killer letter writing method. So it's gone out of style lately because there's other ways to make it so the police can't tell you wrote something, I guess. But bring it back. Maybe nature journalers can be the ones that bring it back. I'm gonna grab, while I'm doing stuff from food, here's another one that this guy in the desert got at the food bank. You can see here, they actually, someone, probably a volunteer at the food bank, actually retaped the label back onto this super cheap can of pears. And at first I was really excited when I was camping in the desert, and he gave these to me. And then I started reading it, and I was like, I mean, just because it's from China doesn't necessarily make me suspicious of it, but I just tend to not want to eat fruit that come from that far away. Obviously you can tell it's super cheap, and it's like, I just like this irregular part. And I think it's really funny that, this is probably the stuff that's getting thrown away, and then they somehow mix it in here with some, citric acid, ascorbic acid, and whatever, and can it up. So what I want though is I just want to get that word irregular out of there and glue it in here somewhere funny. This is actually really nice material, even though the adhesive obviously was terrible because it came undone. But the better for me. Some cans, it's like the stuff is impossible. You know, you could look through here and you could probably make all kinds of great words for your next serial killer, or isn't it the hostage takers? So let's see where we can put. I am having buyer's remorse about putting that sticker there, but here I'll put it on one of my pages of blind contours that I did on a live show last weekend. By the way, speaking of the live show from last weekend where I was promoting my Skillshare class like crazy, so apparently Skillshare has frozen or closed my class, my nature journaling class on Skillshare. If you've been trying to go to it, the link that I've been sharing, a bunch of people signed up and then suddenly Skillshare closed it, and I couldn't really tell what was going on until like a couple days later. They sent me an email saying that they needed to confirm my identity and all of this like security stuff. They made me go through, and it was like a very automated email. They made me go through this whole thing to prove my identity, which, you know, if you just looked for a little bit online and actually watched a little bit of my class and looked up marleypifer.com, Marley Pifer on Twitter, Marley Pifer on Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, you would probably get the idea of who this guy is and what he looks like. I don't think there's too many other people in the world named Marley Pifer, and so it was just a little bit upsetting, and they still haven't resolved it. And in the email they said that my class and my entire account on Skillshare would get deleted in 72 hours if I was unable to confirm my identity. Anyways, I went through this stuff, so hopefully soon. I'm trying not to stress about it too much because I've been directing so many people to go take it. Hopefully soon it will be back and it will all be fixed, and I'll eat some extra strong dark chocolate. So let's see, what are the things that we haven't covered yet? One other thing that I'm going to cover is the pressed flowers, and also incorporating other types of paper. So I've been playing lately with this super fun toned paper. It's really great for experimenting with gouache and for experimenting with negative space. So one thing you could do, Silman & Byrne even sells this paper as loose leaf. All their different papers are available as loose leaf. You could get some of those in advance and you could stick them into your nature journal, or you could have them back here and ready to be stuck in. So like, for example, I use 150 GSM paper. It's great for a lot of things. It's the tooth is not that, it's not that great for that much watercolor. So it's medium grain, 150 GSM, pretty good paper for everything that I do. But if I knew that I was going to the desert and I wanted to do some more landscapes and I wanted to use some heavier watercolor paper, like for example 300 GSM, 100% cotton with a where does it say what the texture is? It doesn't say what the texture is. It looks like, I don't know, medium pressed. I can't remember so I could come in here, I could rip one of these out. I'll call this a scrapbooking sort of technique, art journaling, junk journaling technique combined with nature journaling. You can rip out pieces of paper such as that, and I'm going to adjust the light here a little bit because it's so crazy. And then glue that in here and know that then you're going to come back and be able to do that. One fun thing might be to put down a watercolor wash so you can see where the edge of this is. And I'll show you one other trick. Some of you are probably rolling over in your graves. Wait, no. Some of you are probably I can't think of the metaphor that I'm supposed to use for living people, but seeing me cut watercolor with scissors is probably raising the hair on the back of your neck. No, that's not the right one either. Some people, they're really adamant about always ripping the watercolor paper. Maybe we can do both as an example. And there's a whole bunch of different techniques. All I'm going to point out right now is that when you rip it, the direction you're coming off is going to be the direction that has this material missing. So you're actually going to want this side. And remember, most watercolor paper has a side that you're supposed to paint on and a side that you're not supposed to paint on. So think about that when you're ripping it. So if I'm ripping up, which I'm now doing the opposite, I'm actually going to create that undesirable pattern on both sides. So big no-no by Marley, but it's easier to remember by watching someone else mess up than to remember by watching someone else execute everything flawlessly. Okay, so we've got that one, and just check it out. That deckled edge is going to provide some relief that actually separates this apart, but I'm going to show you another technique real quick with watercolor for doing the same thing. You can do it with markers as well, but there's just either way you can mess this up, and I probably will. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a relatively dark color. I have this beautiful naphthalide maroon right here, so I'm just going to use that and a little bit of Windsor Violet to make it a little bit darker. I'm going to take that, and what I'm going to do is I'm mostly going to hold my brush, I think, and move my paper. So you can see I'm basically, actually maybe I'll move the brush. All I'm doing is I'm trying to just color this edge. You can do this with markers, and it seems crazy like you're painting that teeny little edge, but what you'll notice is this creates a really nice effect. Maybe I should do a class on making Valentine's cards, because this is a technique that I learned making little love notes and stuff like that. You can fold things up, and these are the kind of details like when you do cut paper and you have the edges are like colored instead of, like if you do a whole full-on color thing on a piece of paper and then there's that white edge, something about that really bothers me. It's kind of like when I'm wearing black pants and my pockets are white, even though most of the time nobody sees the pockets. There's just something, the few pairs of pants that I've owned where the pockets are colored or have special colors, it's like you're like, oh yeah, this is legit. And it's the same with your art. Like there's certain things like this that will stand out, and even if it's not conscious, people will recognize your prowess from that detail. So let's take a little extra time every once in a while and try things like that or think about it. And this will probably dry really fast, but then when this goes down, it might not show up on the camera, but you've created an edge that will make it stand out from the paper behind it. Another cool thing to do before you glue it is you could paint like a large, you know, it might actually be great with something like acrylic or something opaque like that. Paint a huge swath here, put this down on top. Another thing you could do is use paint pins. Paint pins would probably work great once it's already down. I think I did something like that. Something like that back here. I painted with silver paint pin around this part where I glued in that photo. So those are all different options. Some of them are definitely going to require you to think in advance and do that technique beneath before you put this one on top. Also, for example, maps or newspaper cuttings or other random stuff, a lot of times you want that glued in first, and then your other little stuff is going to come in on top of it, and that'll often look better. So try to think in advance about the sort of order of operations there. But for now, I'm not going to glue these in. I'm just going to save them on the side. I would just glue them right into here, have them ready in advance to have some heavyweight paper. But for now, to spare you the time of me applying and stressing out about glue all over again, I'm going to put them in the back here. I actually created another type of pocket back here. I think it was when I was done filming the video. Maybe it was during the video. I cut paper right here, relatively stiff paper from the cover of this book. If you are a librarian, you might freak out when you see this, but I just cut the cover of this book, and it's a really nice pattern as well as a stiff paper, and I used it to create these tabs that would hold this paper down, which is taped on with a tape hinge, and so by doing that, I've created a sort of pocket back here. It works well enough to hold things in while I'm nature journaling out in the field. So I can stick this in here. I could stick other large pieces of random stuff. If I really wanted, I could save some of these. This kind of stuff can be useful. Going back to those sort of love letters, this kind of thing, you could make this connected to something else. with like a little heart on it. And you could do this with your nature journal or your scrapbook too. And this kind of thing could actually just fold out like that with another piece attached onto it. Or you can use it as like a clasp here and put a rolled up piece of paper or a scroll inside of that right there. So sometimes these little strips can be useful, but if you're a hoarder, don't save these because you're just rationalizing saving stuff you don't really need. So be careful not to save everything. Okay, so the final thing that I'm going to show is we're going to use some pressed flowers stuck into here like I did that other day. And maybe I think I still have some pressed flowers. I'll try to put it on. This was a drone I nature journaled. Some people saw that on my Instagram. Oh, while this, to clean this brush, I could just, I still have this color on my brush. And, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll use it to write in my name here. So if you have extra watercolor on your brush, sometimes it's good to just use it instead of just putting it on a paper towel to clean your brush. I'm a lot of times doing batch coloring. So if I have something on my brush, I try to use it in multiple places. This is why if you're doing anything sort of scrapbooking or art journaling related in your nature journal, or you're doing homework in your nature journal, having multiple projects going at the same time allows you to jump around. While one thing is drying, you can add something else. And that type of work can be good for a lot of people's brains. For some of us, it's sort of the way our brain works all the time. So be careful not to get too tangential and uncentered while you're doing it. And you might just leave your space completely cluttered all of the time and forget what you're working on. If I had a blow dryer, I would just blow dry that really quickly. But now what we're going to do is we're going to see what flowers I have in my flower press, and we're going to glue in a flower as our last thing. Ooh, yes. These are great. These are great tips. Great tips. Good tips. I think I got something like that at the Charles Darwin Center in Galapagos, but I often forget to get those kind of things. Good tips. Lots of good tips. Ooh, okay. That's a great technique, Mindy. This is something I'm trying to do more of, and I think a lot of people should consider it as a option. If you're doing sort of more mobile nature journaling and you're taking a small kit, cut those out. You can cut those out and stick them into your bigger journal, and that way you can keep the story all sort of in one place. Ooh, another good tip, hotel lobbies. Even if you're not staying at the hotel, just walk in there, grab a bunch of those things and walk right out. Oh, I know. I wish I would like to learn sewing because that is a really cool thing to do too, or maps, flags. I mean, you can sew flag. A lot of times you can get flags when you're visiting a country, and you could sew those on. I think I mentioned the paint pen can be a good thing to go around the edges. So while I'm here and have the paint pen, I'm gonna actually use it. So here's where I put in this ticket stub, and I like this silver a lot. I like the metallic paint pens. Gold can be, I used to do a lot with a gold Uniball, but then the quality of them just started to get really weird. It doesn't even really show up in this camera, but it does a lot of cool tricks because it changes value based on whether it's reflecting or not. Oh, Susan is here too. Hi, Susan. Okay, so now I'm going to check to see what kind of flowers. Hopefully, I haven't been pressing. Y'all might remember that. Uh-oh, my light went out. Y'all might remember that for a while I was doing a ton of flower pressing. Then I upgraded my flower press, made it bigger and better, and I bought these things online to close it, and I made it so that it could hold so many more pressed plants. And I don't know if those two things are correlated. I mean, they're correlated. I don't know if one caused the other, but I stopped pressing as many plants. And I might hardly have any in here at this moment, but we'll see. And if I do, I will attach one. I will glue one into my nature journal. Here are a few sad petals of calendula. Maybe I could do something with those. Man, I need to get out and press some plants. I didn't while I was in the desert because I was mostly in a state park, and I don't think you're supposed to do that. I was afraid that I might get attacked by nature lovers, protective nature lovers, if I started picking any flowers. I think there's certain things in certain places where you have to kind of use your own judgment on what's right. I should probably go pick stuff at the San Diego Zoo. Okay, yeah, I think I pretty much emptied this whole thing out. This isometric graph paper could be a fun thing to glue into your journal in some places as a scrapbooking technique. Oh my goodness, there's not a single flower in here except for those few petals. So I will experiment with the few petals, and you can imagine what it'd be like if I had more pressed plants. I guess I have to get out and press some plants. Maybe that will help with my slight depression. Okay, so what I'm going to do is what I should do is I should use a brush and Mod Podge, but maybe I can experiment. Famous last words. And let's see here. Get the light a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I am going to try to use the Tombow in this case. And I'm going to see if I can aesthetically place some of these calendula petals around this baby leopard. Or is that a jaguar? I think it's a leopard. Yeah, I love that Bounderbarium. Wow, that is advanced, Mindy. Very advanced. I am impressed by that level. I'm really, really interested in ways to hybridize nature journals with herbaria. Like, you know, can you just imagine like a super big nature journal full of all these different sketches and more in-depth botanical drawings combined with pressed plants, all in a single sort of format, all kind of just hybridized. And I mean, there's probably so many cool ways the art form could go. These remind me of insect wings. So this little paint palette right here, I'm so glad I kept this when I got rid of, I used to have a lot of stuff, not a lot, but some stuff for acrylic painting because I did a couple classes, and I got rid of, and someone gave me a bunch of oil painting stuff, and I got rid of all of that too when I had to simplify my stuff and move out of my apartment. Oh, look, it's see-through. Oh, I might be able to do something on top of this plant here. That could look really cool. So I got rid of all these brushes. I got rid of palette knives, but I kept this one, and it's really useful for this kind of stuff and for spreading glue. Oh, that's why it was so sticky, is it has glue on the back still. Lovely. Okay, so see if I can get the light better over like where I'm actually working now. That's dry. All right, so this is where I might get a little bit lazy and sophisticated kindergartner style, and feel free to look away. I'm trying to decide what is the laziest way I could paint this or glue this. Maybe I will use the Mod Podge after all, so I could just paint it over the top and not even do anything along the sides. But I don't have a paintbrush right now for this. So maybe I could just use this branch right here. Let's see here. Do I want an actual leaf? No, I'm going to use the actual this. Okay. This is probably a really bad idea, but where's that tweezers at? I forgot. Ah, stay. Oh God. Don't have the best camera setup in here. I'm sorry. Oh, I just interviewed Verena today. She's a German nature journaler, has a really cool Instagram that some of you probably already follow. And that video is going to come out next Wednesday. And then this Sunday, I'm interviewing Debbie Kaspari, who's a really cool artist who I admire and imitate in some ways. Okay, hey, that's pretty good for a stick painting. Okay, now what I need to do though now is sort of cover the entire top with a little layer. Maybe this will actually be better here. So don't try this at home. Use an actual brush. You can get cheap brushes for this. It's probably going to be a mess when it dries. Ah! Sometimes the petals like want to lift up. So if you actually follow the plan, you could do this way better. Sometimes I like to show the worst way of doing things. That makes it easier for you to feel a sense of superiority when you try to do it. A sense of superiority is one of the great motivating techniques for humans. Okay, so there we go. Ta-da! It's not showing up now very well, but as soon as that dries, the color will show through there, and I think it'll be really cool. And adding pressed plants, you know, these are just a little kid pressed those flowers for me actually. So, they're just a garden plant, so really easy to grow a garden plant. So really easy to incorporate some pressed flowers. Oh, now I'm remembering I had a borage flower that I took out from the traveling art toolkit that I could have used for this. If I had some tape, this plant right here, it's a strawberry guava, could easily get taped in, but you've already seen that technique in another episode of the Nature Journal Show. Even for all of you hardcore people watching right now, I know a bunch of you have seen tons of episodes. If you ever need an extra episode to watch, just look through the archives. I've uploaded over 250 videos, I believe, tons of nature journaling videos on there. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that scrapbooking and nature journaling. Thanks for all of the good comments over here in the live chat. Be sure to check it out. Even in the recording, you can see that. Thanks to Mindy, Susan, Recovering Soul, Karen, Eli, Cindy, Ivea was here. Aneta was here. A whole bunch of other people were here. Thanks for all joining in. And I'll see you on Sunday. I'm interviewing Debbie Kaspari. She does amazing bird illustrations and sketches in the field. So check out that interview Sunday at 1 p.m. as usual. And then next Wednesday, it will be that interview with nature journaling teacher from Germany, Verena Hilgartner. A bunch of you follow her on Instagram, I know, because I can see when you like her posts. All right, see you next week. Bye. Go eat some chocolate. Bye.